Fever made some unsurprising roster cuts.
This is the first cut.
Plenty of players have been waived.
It's happening right now. The Indiana Fever just shook up their roster in a way nobody saw coming.
How tough it was going to be to make the roster. How a group of players were fighting for essentially one spot.
Big names have been cut.
The Indiana Fever having to make some cuts. Players that many expected to be possibly gone.
And make no mistake about it, Caitlin Clark is the reason behind these massive moves.
The Indiana Fever made with Caitlin Clark's presence on the court is undeniable.
As the franchise shifts into full gear to build around their once-in-a-generation superstar, players who many thought were safe are suddenly out. The message is clear. If you don't fit into the fast, dynamic system that complements Caitlin Clark's game, you're gone.
Caitlin Clark is just so fun to watch. The difference that she brings to the game. This is an entertainer. She knows how to rev up the crowd. She puts on a show. And like Rebecca Lobo said, the Indiana Fever are just fun to watch.
This is more than just a roster shuffle. It's the beginning of a new era in Indiana, and the Fever are sending shockwaves through the WNBA to make it happen.
It's a rough life in the WNBA where you get drafted, you have that moment, and then it's gone.
If you're a Caitlin Clark fan and want to support her, type 100% in the comments.
Cece, one word to describe today.
Only one word. Unreal.
Let's talk about the massive shakeup that just hit the Indiana Fever. This is not some routine roster adjustment that teams make mid-season. This is a statement. The Fever have made it crystal clear that they are ready to reshape the foundation of their team, and it all circles back to one person. Caitlin Clark.
But the timing of the cuts is interesting in the senses where they dropped these two players after the first two exhibition games.
Her impact is so undeniable that the franchise is now moving aggressively to build a squad that fully complements her style, maximizes her strengths, and sets the stage for long-term success. In the midst of this transformation, the front office made some tough calls, cutting key players who many fans thought were safe.
A championship is the clear stated goal.
That includes Aaliyah Moore, whose athleticism and versatility showed promise.
I would say, just pushing the pace and just keep going, not settling for who we were playing with. We're just getting ready to play, those bigger opponents and to win a championship. So we just had our mind focused on what we wanted to do and just keep the pace and not worry about the score.
But whose role became redundant as the Fever zeroed in on maximizing floor spacing and speed. Alongside her, Temi Fagbenle was also waived. Fagbenle, despite bringing solid international experience and post presence, didn't fit into the new fast-paced system Indiana is designing around Clark's dynamic playmaking. And it didn't stop there. Maya Caldwell and Christy Wallace, both of whom provided depth on the wing and had moments of contribution last season, also found themselves released as part of this overhaul.
Camp, it was assumed 5 players were competing for one spot.
These weren't easy decisions. These are players who have battled, hustled, and represented the franchise with professionalism. But the Fever's leadership knows one thing. Mediocrity isn't an option anymore. They're crafting a team that is laser-focused on maximizing Caitlin Clark's talents.
Caitlin Clark is just different from everyone else.
It's crazy how one player can implement a change so massive, and that is Caitlin Clark.
Whenever Caitlin Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball. The Indiana Fever are where they are because of Caitlin Clark. The WNBA is where it is because of Caitlin Clark. The Iowa situation is what it is because of Caitlin Clark.
And that means surrounding her with shooters, defenders, and high IQ players who can amplify her court vision and fast break offense. Every cut is calculated. Every decision is designed to streamline the roster so that Clark can operate at her absolute best. And make no mistake, these moves send a loud signal to the rest of the WNBA.
Everybody get an opportunity, and the cold reality of the WNBA is there just aren't that many teams and there aren't that many roster spots, which doesn't lead to set opportunity for too many players.
Indiana is no longer a rebuilding team patiently waiting for the future. The future is here, and her name is Caitlin Clark. The Fever are clearing the path so she can run the show without hesitation. And every player who remains will be someone who fits her tempo, her style, and her basketball mind.
They're going to do what they think gives them the best chance to win and gives them the best roster going into the regular season, and everyone who's on the bench has to be able to be relied upon for minutes if needed.
When we talk about why these cuts happen, we need to say it plainly. Caitlin Clark has completely transformed how the Indiana Fever operate, and every decision now runs through the lens of maximizing her unique skill set. From the moment she stepped on the court, it became obvious that Clark isn't just another talented rookie. She's a generational player who dictates pace, commands defensive attention, and opens up the floor in ways that very few athletes can. The front office recognized quickly that to fully unlock her potential, they would have to reshape the roster to fit her style of play, not the other way around. Clark's game is built on speed, floor spacing, and precision passing. She thrives when surrounded by players who can keep up with her fast-paced offensive tempo and who can stretch the defense to give her clean looks from deep or clear lanes to attack. This is where players like Jillian Aileen and Bree Hall fell out of favor.
Indiana Fever made their first roster cuts of training camp Monday. Rookie Bree Hall, Jillian Aileen were waived by the team as it narrows down its opening day roster. Jillian Aileen, she's out.
While both had strengths, neither consistently displayed the versatility or chemistry needed to flourish alongside Clark. Bree Hall's defensive abilities were acknowledged.
Bree Hall would have had to really stand out in order to make the team. I just thought she had a chance if she could show she was a great defensive player just because they didn't have that specific player.
But in the Fever's new system, defense alone wasn't enough. She needed to show she could seamlessly integrate into an offense that's built to run through Clark's hands, and she struggled to keep pace with that expectation. Meanwhile, Michaela Timpson serves as a textbook example of the kind of player the Fever now covet.
It's Michaela Timpson. My goodness, she looks like she has something, folks. She does. And I'm excited that she's part of the team.
Timpson didn't just put up respectable stats during camp and exhibitions. She actively demonstrated she could complement Clark's game. Her ability to cut at the right times, hit open shots, and rotate quickly on defense made her invaluable. She fit naturally into the system Indiana envisions, a system where quick decision-making, off-ball movement, and high basketball IQ amplify Caitlin Clark's playmaking brilliance. The Fever saw that chemistry unfold in real time during scrimmages and made the call. They want more players like Timpson who can elevate Clark.
Michaela Timpson was selected number 19 overall.
Not players who slow the game down. This isn't just about individual performance either. It's about team construction at the highest level. The Fever understand they have a rare opportunity on their hands. With Clark's ability to draw double teams, make pinpoint passes, and score from virtually anywhere on the court, they can design an offense that overwhelms opponents. But to make that vision a reality, they need shooters who can space the floor, bigs who can run in transition, and defenders who can switch quickly. Every roster spot is now being evaluated through that lens. The front office isn't hesitating. They're cutting loose anyone who doesn't fit the blueprint because wasting a year of Clark's rookie contract window simply isn't an option. Make no mistake, Caitlin Clark is the engine driving this entire rebuild.
Caitlin Clark breaking the record at $440 per average ticket to get into this game. That record was rebroken and increased to $670 per ticket. Couldn't help myself. Haters, read it and weep.
Her skill set is forcing Indiana to think bigger, move faster, and make bolder decisions. The release of Aileen and Hall is just the beginning. The Fever are going all in on building a championship-caliber team around their superstar, and that means assembling a roster that mirrors the speed, versatility, and relentless offensive pressure that Clark brings to every possession. These roster cuts aren't just business decisions. They're a loud and clear signal that Indiana is ready to reshape the franchise around Caitlin. Now that the Indiana Fever have made these bold roster cuts and clearly shown they're all in on building around Caitlin Clark,
the team looked it great. Caitlin Clark looked like she's ready to go.
When Caitlin Clark arrives, she's going to be responsible for moving the ball more. She's going to be responsible for setting picks, dropping the ball off, making decisions. It's not just going to be dumping the ball down and you make a decision and we'll live with whatever you do. So
Honestly, like, I was really excited to just get out there and play, and especially getting to do it for the first time this season in front of these fans was really cool for myself. And like, just seeing the amount of people and young girls and young boys that stand there and like scream for me to sign their stuff, like, I don't take that for granted. Like, that's so cool. Like, I would be lying to you if I thought that was like just like normal and everybody gets to do that. Like, they don't. So I'm glad I can be a role model for them, and you know, they have a great impact on me too.
The natural question becomes, what happens next? The Fever's front office isn't just making small tweaks. They're orchestrating a complete transformation of the team's identity. This is a franchise that has been waiting for a breakthrough star to rally around, and with Clark in place, they're not going to waste the opportunity. Every move from here on out is calculated with a long-term vision of turning Indiana into a WNBA powerhouse. And that means the shakeup we're seeing right now is just the beginning.
The ball movement was great to see. Who didn't want to see that the ball snapping around and the unselfish play? I think it bodes very, very well for the ceiling of this team.
She broke her own damn record, hitting 36-foot-long three-pointers. She looked it sensational. This team looked it great. And I'm telling you right now, they just put the entire WNBA on notice.
She put on a show. The deep logo three, that further than the logo really, that no one else is doing. The delicious dimes whenever Caitlin Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball.
First, more roster cuts are inevitable. As of now, Egypt and Jaylen Brown are still on the chopping block. Both players have had flashes of potential, but just like Aileen and Hall, they are under intense scrutiny. The Fever's coaching staff is meticulously evaluating how every remaining player fits alongside Clark in real-time game situations. It's not just about raw talent anymore. It's about synergy, basketball IQ, and adaptability. If Egypt or Brown can't prove that they can consistently make smart cuts, rotate fast on defense, or knock down open shots created by Clark's gravity, their days in Indiana are numbered. The Fever are showing zero hesitation to make hard calls. Second, the Fever are thinking about salary cap management and long-term flexibility.
Salary cap is structured. The Fever are most likely making 2 more cuts. Most likely, which I would say that the players that are in the most danger are Ejim, who was the other draft pick, and the latest draft pick, and also Jaylen Brown.
With a superstar like Clark in place, the front office knows they have to keep cap space available to make savvy moves down the line, whether that's signing complementary veterans, making trades, or locking up emerging talent. That's another layer behind these cuts. They're clearing the decks not only for players who fit now, but also for financial flexibility to maneuver as Clark's influence grows and the team evolves. They don't want to be handcuffed by bloated contracts or roster clogging. On top of that, we're likely to see Indiana target specialist players in free agency or future drafts, role players who can accentuate Clark's strengths. Expect to see movement toward acquiring elite three-point shooters, versatile wings who can guard multiple positions, and bigs who can stretch the floor or finish on the fast break.
So this is what an actual crowd looks like. Chloe Peterson put this up. That is a sold-out arena. 14,998 people. That's all it could hold. They all showed up in Caitlin Clark's college arena. Absolutely full capacity, folks. Full capacity on this thing.
The Fever aren't just building an average roster. They're trying to craft a WNBA contender that mirrors championship caliber teams. And that starts by giving Caitlin Clark the pieces she needs to operate at full throttle. Names may emerge soon in trade rumors or late signings as Indiana aggressively scours the market for the perfect supporting cast. Beyond the roster mechanics, there's also the cultural shift taking place within the team. Caitlin Clark doesn't just bring skill, she brings a winning mentality, competitive fire, and media magnetism that reshapes how the Fever are viewed by both opponents and fans.
I didn't plan to shoot that logo 3. I know coming into the game, everybody wanted me to shoot one from there. But Steph was like, was supposed to come out at the end of the third, so she's like, give a foul, give a foul, give a foul. And then it was 30 seconds on the clock, which like between 30 to 33, that's like your 2-for-1 range where you have to get one up. So I saw 30 as we're inbounding the ball, which probably is inbounding the ball at 30, probably a little low. But I was like, why not?
The Fever know that having Clark gives them not just a star, but also national attention, increased ticket sales, and heightened expectations. Every move from here on is about positioning the franchise to capitalize on that momentum. They are constructing a team that not only competes for wins, but also becomes a WNBA marquee franchise, drawing packed arenas and headline coverage thanks to Clark's influence. In other words, these initial roster cuts are a strategic foundation. Indiana is tearing down the remnants of old seasons, clearing space to build a new contender from the ground up. Caitlin Clark is the blueprint, and the Fever are meticulously putting together a squad that can turn her brilliance into deep playoff runs and eventually championship contention. This is not a rebuild in the slow sense. This is an accelerated evolution with Clark at the core. So as fans, buckle up.
This is your first time experiencing the Caitlin madness. What do you make of this entire day that you were able to experience?
It's amazing, just to see that how many people just love her in this city. She made her mark here, and it's just incredible to see all the fans and how much she's just put into working, and then the impact she's had on this city is just amazing.
What we're witnessing right now is the early phase of something much bigger. The Fever are sending a clear message to the league. They aren't just here to play, they're here to dominate. And with Caitlin Clark as the centerpiece, every decision they make is about building a dynasty that could define the next decade of women's basketball. There's no question about it. The Indiana Fever are making bold moves because they see exactly what they have in Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation superstar who can change not just a franchise, but an entire league.
Caitlin Clark play. And then we got one of the highlights of her career, really. We know she broke the record at Iowa. And then I'm going to pull up from all the way here. The ball's way in the air, and it goes down.
There's Caitlin again, signing autographs.
This is Caitlin Clark doing what Caitlin Clark does, signing autographs.
These roster cuts, these strategic shifts, and this laser focus on building around her talent all send one powerful message. The Fever aren't here to play it safe anymore. They're building for dominance, and Caitlin Clark is the engine that's going to drive them there. As this journey unfolds, expect more changes, more surprises, and even bigger headlines. This is just the start of an era that could reshape women's basketball for years to come. And if you're as excited as we are to watch Caitlin Clark take over the league and lead Indiana to new heights, here's your chance to show your support. If you're a true Caitlin Clark fan and want to back her all the way, type 100% in the comments right now. Let's flood the section and show the world how strong the Caitlin Clark community really is.